Hey y'all, how are you doing? I'm doing my commemorative speech on my favorite teacher, Mr. Templeton. Teachers come and go, but if you're very fortunate, you have a teacher who's going to impact you for the rest of your life. And that was for me, Mr. Charlie Templeton. Mr. Templeton taught me for all 4 years of my high school career. I had him as a teacher every year, and I intentionally did that because he was one of the best teachers I had. Not only in teaching me about just life in general, but he allowed me to come in faith in many, many ways. Mr. Charlie Templeton would allow me to date atheists and agnostics in school, which was kind of, a little bit frowned upon in public high school. But he allowed me to express myself, and by expressing myself, it allowed me to really come to faith and to know that I needed to be able to speak up for my faith and be apologetic. And apologetic means to be able to defend your faith. And so Mr. Charlie Templeton allowed me to do all that, and really was a big, big man in my life. Unfortunately, Mr. Charlie passed away October of this last year, and it was one of the hardest deaths I've had to experience because to me he was more than a teacher. He was a friend. He was a mentor. He was a second father. When my life got tough, he was always there for me. He was praying with me. He was reading the Bible with me, and he's been there with me through thick and thin. Um, he gave a speech during my graduation. Nod to anybody who had a brother or sister graduate today or this week. My brother graduated, so I thought I would wear this around the house and help remember my graduation. But Mr. Templeton gave a speech at my graduation, and that's pretty much the only thing I remember other than walking across the stage. Not only that, Mr. Templeton, because we interacted so much, got me a page in the yearbook. Um, there's a feature page on me where there's an entire page about my ministry in high school through Salkehatchie and through my mission trips, and without Mr. Templeton, I wouldn't have been there. As well as, Mr. Templeton taught me teacher cadets, which allowed me to go and help teach younger kids as a senior in high school. And even though I'm not going to be a teacher, it was an amazing experience. And he really pushed for me to do that. So I'm going to read some quotes about teachers real quick. By Kathy Davis. 100 years from now, it will it will not matter what my bank account was, the sort of house I lived in, or the kind of car I drove. But the world may be different because I was important in the life of a child. I'll always remember Mr. Templeton. He treated me like I was his child because he had no children. Yet he continued to work with me even though my grammar is horrible and even though my writing is bad. Next is Henry Brooke Adams. He said, "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." I wasn't the only one he mentored. He mentored thousands of students throughout his teaching career. Um, Through thick and thin, he was there for them. He prayed with them, and he allowed them into his life and into his heart. Uh, Mr. Templeton actually, he had skin cancer my last year there, and even though he had skin cancer, he still poured into me. The last quote is from William Glasser. "The mediocre teacher tells, the good teacher explains, the superior teacher demonstrates, the great teacher inspires." I look back at what Mr. Templeton taught me, and it inspired me to be the man I am today. He was bold about his faith. He was bold about what was important to him. He was bold in everything he did, and he did everything he did with confidence. He never hesitated or wavered. He always had a positive attitude, and he treated everyone equally. You cannot find a better teacher, mentor, or better person than Mr. Charlie Templeton. And that's why there was no other person for me to do for my commemorative speech than him. And I hope all of y'all had people pouring into your lives. I'm sure that you did because we're at North River University. We had people pouring into us, and this is it for this speech.